The Great Depression and New Deal, Section 1, with Ms. Loshy. The Hawley-Smoot Tariff. This tariff was signed by President Hoover in 1930. It was one of the largest tax increases in U.S. history. It placed a tax on goods imported into the United States. Other countries retaliated and placed their own tariffs on goods imported from the U.S. The world economy began to slow and decreased by more than 66% between 1929 and 1934. It was a contributing factor for the cause of the Great Depression. So when you place a tariff on an imported good, you're placing a tax on a good that's being brought into the United States. And that was meant to try to encourage people to purchase American-made goods, but then the other countries retaliated and they put taxes on American-made goods that were exported from our country and imported into their country, and then it, caused some backlash there. So this image just shows you how the Hawley-Smoot tariff worked. If you look at the yellow bolted cloth where it says American-made cloth costs $4 a roll, and then we look to the right over in Britain and it says the British-made cloth costs $4 a roll. Then you add on a 25% tariff, which adds on $1 to the price. When the British-made cloth comes to America, that cloth now costs $5. So the American-made cloth is cheaper by $1. Herbert Hoover. Herbert Hoover was elected President of the United States in 1929. He believed in a laissez-faire policy in terms of government involvement in the economy. When the Great Depression hit, he initially did little to counter the Depression. He did not believe that the government should interfere in the economy. Shanty towns built out of shacks by the homeless and jobless were nicknamed Hoovervilles after him. In 1932, he established the Reconstruction Finance Corporation to give emergency loans to banks and businesses. He lost the 1932 re-election campaign to FDR, or Franklin Delano Roosevelt. Buying on margin. People purchased stocks in speculation of making a profit. They paid a small down payment and borrowed the rest from the bank. So let's say the stock costs $100. They would put $10 maybe of their own money down and they borrow the other $90 from the bank. So they took out a $90 loan from the bank in order to purchase these stocks. And that will cause problems because if the price of the stock drops below what they paid for it, then they're going to be out not only the money that they paid, but now they still owe the bank money and they have nothing to pay them back with. And that's going to cause some problems in the economy. Black Tuesday, October 29, 1929. The stock market crashed and prices dropped dramatically. People began to quickly sell their stocks in the hopes of stopping their losses, causing the stock market to crash further. Bank failures. Banks had lent money to speculators to buy stocks. These loans were not being repaid. Banks loaned out depositors money for risky loans. They were not previously regulated by the government. People ran to the banks to withdraw their money before there was none left, also known as bank runs, or the run on banks. Most banks stopped issuing loans. Many banks closed, and people no longer trusted banks. So the way banks were loaning out the money was depositors would go in and they put their money in the bank, and then the bank would turn around and loan out the money that people deposited into the bank for interest to other people. And if everybody tried to go to the bank to pull their money out, it wouldn't all be there because it had been loaned out. Now, if they loaned it out on a risky loan, which means that that person's probably not going to be able to pay it back, that means that they just risked the depositor's money, and the depositors have no repercussions, no way to get their money back. They're just out of luck. Contributing factors of the Great Depression: overproduction of goods, overspeculation in the stock market, overspending on luxury goods, risky banking or issuing risky loans, buying on margin, and buying goods with installment plans. Overproduction of goods is when you produce too much of something and then the price drops because of supply and demand. If you have a lot of something, the price drops. If you have a limited amount, the price increases. Overspeculation is when people were purchasing stocks in the hope of making a quick profit, and most of these people were purchasing stocks on margin. Purchasing luxury goods that people didn't necessarily need, especially with installment plans where they would buy on credit and they would pay a little bit every month until it's paid off plus interest. And of course, issuing risky loans where you didn't know for sure that that person was going to be able to pay back the loan, especially if it was for purchasing a stock which fluctuated or changed in price frequently.